The key slid into the lock like it had 1,000 times before. Then it stopped. Mateo jiggled it, cursed under his breath, tried again. Nothing. My daughter Seraphine stood behind him on the porch, shopping bags hanging from her wrists, that irritated look spreading across her face like she just stepped in something wet. "What's wrong with the lock?" she snapped. Mateo didn't answer. He was already fumbling for the spare key, the one they kept in the shoe cupboard by the side door. I watched from across the street, standing next to a parked sedan that wasn't mine, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. This was it, the moment I'd been planning for 3 months, the moment everything changed. Seraphine's voice cut through the evening air. "Dad!" She was looking around now, scanning the street like she might spot me watering plants or taking out trash like I always did. Like the unpaid handyman I'd become in my own house. "Dad, is this some kind of joke? Have you ever been treated like a burden by the people you sacrificed everything for? Drop a comment if you've ever felt invisible in your own family." I bought the house 20 years ago when Seraphine was 7. 2 jobs, barely any sleep, and a mountain of stubborn hope that said if I just worked hard enough, everything would turn out right. I remember signing those mortgage papers with hands that shook from exhaustion, thinking this was where we'd build something real, something that mattered. Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. Back then, Seraphine was this fierce little thing with scraped knees and big dreams. I worked nights at the factory so she could take piano lessons. Sold my truck so we could afford a second-hand piano that smelled like someone else's memories. I showed up to every recital, every parent-teacher conference, every soccer game, even when my eyes burned from lack of sleep. I thought that's what fathers did. I thought love was supposed to be endless giving. Turns out, some people mistake your love for a credit card with no limit. It started small, like these things always do. "Dad, can you pick up Mateo's suit from the dry cleaners?" Then it was, "Can you watch the house while we're on vacation?" Then, "Can you cover our electric bill this month? We're a little tight." Always with that smile that said she knew I'd say yes. Always with Mateo standing behind her. Check his phone like I was just another errand on his to-do list. The requests piled up. The thank yous disappeared. I became the guy they called when something broke. When they needed money. When they needed someone to blame for showing up at the wrong time or saying the wrong thing. My daughter started talking to me like I was a service she'd subscribed to but was getting tired of paying for. 3 months ago, everything shifted. We were sitting in my kitchen, the one I'd renovated with my own hands, and Mateo's parents were visiting for the first time. They walked through my house like appraisers at an estate sale, touching my books, examining my furniture, making little humming sounds that felt like judgment. Over coffee, Mateo's father started talking about investment opportunities and downsizing. He kept looking at Seraphine and Mateo like they were too good for this neighborhood, too good for this old house with its creaky floors and outdated fixtures. "You two should really think about moving closer to the city," he said, stirring sugar into his cup. "This place is charming, but it's not exactly convenient, is it?" Mateo laughed. Actually laughed. "Yeah, it's getting old, isn't it?" I felt something crack inside my chest. Seraphine reached over and patted my hand. "Just once. Like you'd pat a dog. Don't worry, Dad. We're not going anywhere right now." Right now. Like I was temporary. Like this house I'd bled for was just a stepping stone in their journey to something better. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the spare bedroom, the one I'd moved into after they took over the master, and listened to them laughing in the living room. My living room. My house. Paid off 5 years ago with overtime checks and sacrifice. I started doing math in my head. How many times had I loaned them money they never paid back? How many errands had I run without a thank you? How many times had they made me feel like an inconvenience in the house I'd bought with my own sweat? The answer made me sick. So I started planning. Not because I wanted revenge, at least that's what I told myself, but because I wanted to stop disappearing. I wanted to matter again. I wanted them to see me as a person, not a resource. I went to see Mary Ann Blythe, a lawyer I'd known for years. Sharp woman with a blunt haircut and zero patience for excuses. I laid it all out for her. "The house is in your name?" she asked. "Every square inch." "Mortgage paid off 5 years ago." She leaned back in her chair, fingers steepled under her chin. "Then legally, you can do whatever you want with it. But Harrison," she fixed me with a look that could cut glass, "you better be damn sure this is what you want. Because once you do this, there's no taking it back." I was sure. Or at least, I thought I was. I listed the house quietly. No big signs, no open houses, nothing that would tip them off. Found a buyer through an LLC with a name as boring as a tax form. They paid cash. The whole thing was done in 3 weeks. The day of closing, my hand shook so bad I could barely sign my name. But I signed. I took the check. I walked out of that office feeling like I just jumped off a cliff and wasn't sure if I'd packed a parachute. Then I called Eugene, a locksmith who asked exactly 0 questions when I told him what I needed. "Change every lock," I said, "tonight, and don't leave spare keys." He showed up at midnight with a van full of tools and got to work. I stood in the driveway and watched him drill out the old locks, install new ones, test them twice. When he was done, he handed me a single key ring. "That's it." I asked. "That's it," he said. "Nobody's getting in without your say-so." I slipped an envelope under their bedroom door before I left. Short note. No emotion. Just facts. The house has been sold. Contact the new owner for arrangements. Harrisonvale. Then I walked away from the house I'd loved for 20 years and drove to the apartment I'd rented across the street. Small place. Cheap. But it was mine, and nobody there made me feel like I was taking up too much space. Now, standing in the shadows, I watched Seraphine and Mateo realize their keys didn't work. Watched panic replace irritation. Watched Mateo's face turn red as he pulled out his phone and started dialing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I let it ring. Seraphine was pacing now, bags abandoned on the porch. "This doesn't make sense." Dad wouldn't. He wouldn't just. "Call him again," Mateo barked. She did. My phone buzzed again. I silenced it. They stood there for 10 minutes, trying different combinations, different doors, getting more frantic with each failed attempt. Finally, Mateo kicked the door. Once. Twice. The new lock didn't budge. That's when Seraphine started crying. I almost walked over, almost explained everything right then and there, almost apologized and handed him the key and let everything go back to the way it was. Almost. But then I remembered that look on Mateo's face when his father suggested they move. I remembered Seraphine's hand patting mine like I was a pet. I remembered every unreturned dollar, every dismissive text, every time they made me feel small in the house I'd built for us. So I stayed in the shadows, and I waited, because sometimes the people you love need to learn that you're not a doormat. Sometimes they need to understand that even the kindest person has a limit. Sometimes the only way to teach respect is to stop letting yourself be disrespected. And sometimes revenge isn't about hurting someone. It's about finally putting yourself first. If you've ever had to set a hard boundary with family, hit that like button and stick around, because what happened next changed everything. Seraphine found me the next morning. I was sitting in my new apartment, drinking coffee that tasted like freedom and regret mixed together, when someone knocked on my door. Not the soft knock of a neighbor, the desperate pounding of someone who'd spent the night on a friend's couch. I knew it was her before I opened it. She looked wrecked, hair pulled back in a messy knot, yesterday's makeup smudged under her eyes, wearing the same clothes from the porch scene. For a second, she looked exactly like she did at 7 years old, when she'd fallen off her bike and come running to me with scraped palms. "Dad." Her voice cracked on the word. "What did you do?" I stepped aside to let her in. She moved past me like she was walking through fog, looking around my tiny apartment like she couldn't believe this was where I'd been hiding. 1 room, a kitchenette, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. "You've been living here?" She touched the cheap folding table like it might be a hallucination. "How long?" 2 months. 2 months. She repeated it like the words didn't make sense. You moved out 2 months ago and didn't tell us? I poured her coffee. She took it with shaking hands. I told you I needed space. I said quietly. You told me I was suffocating you. So I gave you what you wanted. By selling our house? My house, Seraphine. It was always my house. The words landed like stones. She flinched, set the coffee down, without drinking it. We lived there, she whispered. That was our home. Was it? I sat across from her at the little table, because from where I stood, it stopped being a home about 2 years ago. It became a hotel, a storage unit, a place you expected me to maintain while you lived your life. That's not fair, isn't it? I kept my voice level. Calm. When's the last time you called me just to talk? Not to ask for something. Not to complain about your day. Just to see how I was doing. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Exactly, I said. The silence between us was thick enough to choke on. Mateo's furious, she finally said. He's talking about suing you. He says you had no right. He's wrong. I pulled out the folder Marion had given me. Deed. Closing documents. Everything stamped and legal and final. I had every right. The house was in my name. Mortgage paid off. I own it free and clear. I sold it to a legitimate buyer for fair market value. There's nothing to sue for. She stared at the papers like they were written in a language she didn't understand. But why? Her eyes filled with tears. Why would you do this to us? And that's when something in me snapped. To you? I stood up, chair scraping loud against the floor. Seraphine, I worked 2 jobs to give you piano lessons. I sold my truck so you could have an instrument. I missed sleep, missed promotions, missed having a life of my own, so you could have everything you needed. And somewhere along the way, you started treating that like it was your right, like I owed you my entire existence. Dad. No. I held up a hand. Let me finish. You and Mateo turned me into your personal assistant, your bank, your backup plan. And every time I tried to say something, you made me feel guilty for wanting basic respect. Do you know what that does to a person? To love someone so much you disappear, and they don't even notice you're gone. The tears were streaming down her face now. We didn't mean to. I know you didn't mean to. My voice softened. That's what makes it worse. You didn't even realize you were doing it. I became invisible to you, and I got tired of being a ghost in my own life. She buried her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook. I wanted to comfort her, wanted to pull her into a hug like I did when she was little and tell her everything would be okay. But that's exactly what had gotten us here. Me comforting, me fixing, me sacrificing, over and over until there was nothing left of me to give. So I sat back down and waited. What do we do now? She finally asked, voice muffled by her palms. That depends on you. She looked up. Red eyes. Blotchy face. Lost. The new owner is willing to negotiate a lease, I said. Market rate. First month. Last month. Security deposit. Same terms any tenant would get. We can't afford that. Then you'll need to find somewhere else to live. Dad, please. I'm not saying this to be cruel, Seraphine. I'm saying it because you need to understand that actions have consequences. You can't treat people like they're disposable and expect them to keep showing up for you. She wrapped her arms around herself. Mateo's going to lose his mind. Let him. I picked up my coffee. Maybe it's time both of you learned that the world doesn't revolve around your convenience. Drop a comment if you think Harrison did the right thing. Would you have sold the house? Or tried talking first? She left 20 minutes later, still crying, still shaking, still not understanding how we'd gotten here. I watched her walk down the street from my window, shoulders hunched like she was carrying a weight she couldn't see. Part of me felt like a monster. The other part felt free for the first time in years. My sister, Estelle, called that afternoon. I knew it was coming. Seraphine must have called her the second she left my apartment. Harrison Vale, what the hell did you do? No greeting. Just fury. I sold my house. You kicked your daughter out. On the street. Without warning. She's 32 years old. Estelle. She's not a child. She's your child. Her voice was sharp enough to cut. You can't just, she made a frustrated sound. There are other ways to handle conflict. You talk to people. You work things out. You don't pull the rug out from under them. I tried talking. I leaned against the counter. For 2 years, I tried. Every conversation ended the same way. Me feeling guilty for having boundaries. Me apologizing for existing. I was done apologizing. So you chose nuclear war instead? I chose myself instead. The line went quiet. I could hear Estelle breathing on the other end, trying to find the right words to make me see reason. You're going to regret this, she finally said. You're going to end up alone, Harrison. Is that what you want? To spend your last years by yourself because you were too proud to compromise. It's not about pride. I rubbed my eyes. It's about dignity. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. She hung up before I could respond. I stood in my empty apartment and wondered if she was right. If I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. If I'd traded my daughter for a principal that would keep me warm at night. Then I remembered the way Mateo had laughed when his father suggested they move. The way Seraphine had patted my hand like I was a good dog. The way both of them had stopped seeing me as a person and started seeing me as a service. No, I wasn't wrong. I was just finally right. That evening, I did something I hadn't done in years. I cooked dinner for myself. Not a quick sandwich or takeout eaten standing over the sink. A real meal. Pasta with homemade sauce, garlic bread, salad. I set the table with actual plates and silverware. Poured myself a glass of wine. And I ate alone. It should have felt lonely, sad, like a preview of the isolated future Estelle had warned me about. Instead, it felt peaceful. Nobody asking me for favors. Nobody making me feel guilty for wanting to relax. Nobody treating my presence like an inconvenience. Just me, my dinner, my quiet apartment, my life. I was halfway through the pasta when my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. This is Mateo. We need to talk. Tonight. I stared at the message for a long moment. Imagine him pacing their temporary living room, building up a head of steam, ready to unleash it all on me. I deleted the text, blocked the number, went back to my dinner. Because here's what I'd learned in the last 24 hours. Some bridges need to burn. Some relationships need to end before they can rebuild. And some people won't respect you until you show them you're willing to walk away. I finished eating, washed my dishes, made myself another cup of coffee. And for the first time in 2 years, I slept through the night without waking up anxious about what they'd need from me tomorrow. Have you ever had to cut someone off completely to protect yourself? Let us know in the comments. But the peace didn't last, because 3 days later, Seraphine showed up at my door again. This time, she wasn't alone. Mateo stood behind her, arms crossed, jaw tight, looking like he was ready to kick down the door if I didn't open it fast enough. And the look in his eyes told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a visit. It was war. I opened the door halfway, didn't invite them in. Mateo's eyes were bloodshot, like he hadn't slept since the locks changed. His shirt was wrinkled, hair uncombed. This was a man who'd spent 3 days realizing his assumptions about the world were wrong, and he wasn't handling it well. We need to talk, he said. Not a request. So talk. He pushed past Seraphine, tried to shoulder his way into my apartment. I stepped into the doorway, blocking him. We stood there for a second, chest to chest, and I watched him decide whether he wanted to make this physical. He stepped back. Smart choice. You think you're clever? His voice was tight, controlled. The kind of control that means someone's about to lose it. Selling the house without telling us? Changing the locks while we were out? That's not clever, Harrison. That's cowardice. It's called setting boundaries. It's called being a vindictive old man who couldn't handle his daughter growing up. The words were designed to hurt. They did. But I'd spent 3 months preparing for this conversation. I wasn't going to let him see me bleed. You done? I asked. Seraphine touched his arm. Mateo, please. He shrugged her off. No, he needs to hear this. He turned back to me. You want to know what I think? I think you're jealous. Jealous that we have our lives together. Jealous that we don't need you anymore. So you pulled this stunt to feel important again. I almost laughed. Is that what you tell yourself? That I did this because I'm jealous. What other explanation is there? How about respect? My voice rose for the first time. How about treating me like a human being instead of a wallet with legs? How about saying thank you once in a while? Or paying back the money you borrowed? Or acting like my time is value? We always thank you. When? Name one time in the last year you thanked me for anything without asking for something else in the same breath. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. That's what I thought. I looked at Seraphine. She was staring at the ground. I didn't do this to hurt you. I did this because I was tired of hurting myself to make your lives easier. Mateo's jaw worked. You had no right. I had every right. It was my house. My name on the deed. My money that paid for it. I held up the folder again. Everything I did was legal. Everything I did was fair. You just don't like it because you finally had to face consequences. Consequences. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about consequences? Fine. Seraphine cried herself to sleep last night. We're staying in a motel that charges by the hour. We can't afford the rent on the house you sold. Our friends think we're idiots for not seeing this coming. Those are consequences, Harrison. Real ones. Not your self-righteous bullshit about boundaries. If someone disrespects you for years, do they deserve a warning before you cut them off? Drop your thoughts below. The words hung in the air like smoke. Seraphine was crying again, silent tears streaming down her face. And I felt it. That pull, that old instinct to fix things, to make it better, to be the dad who solved problems instead of creating them. But I didn't move. You're right, I said quietly. Those are consequences. Real ones. And I'm sorry you're hurting. But Seraphine, Mateo, I looked at both of them. This is what happens when you take someone for granted. This is what happens when you assume someone will always be there no matter how you treat them. You lose them. So that's it. Mateo's voice was sharp. You're just going to watch us struggle and feel good about yourself? No. I shook my head. I'm going to watch you struggle and hope you learn something from it. Hope you realize that relationships are two-way streets. Hope you understand that love isn't something you can spend without ever putting anything back. You're unbelievable. He grabbed Seraphine's hand. Come on. We're not getting anywhere with him. They turned to leave. Seraphine, I called after her. She stopped, didn't turn around. I love you, I said. I never stopped loving you. But I won't let you treat me like I don't matter. Not anymore. Her shoulders shook. Mateo pulled her away. I watched them walk down the street, and something inside me cracked. Not broke, just cracked, like ice on a pond in early spring. I closed the door, leaned against it, slid down to the floor. And for the first time since I'd sold the house, I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. The next week was hell. Word spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. Old friends stopped calling. Neighbors crossed the street when they saw me coming. The woman at the corner store, who'd known me for 15 years, gave me a look that could freeze blood when I came in for coffee. I was a villain in their story. The heartless father who kicked his daughter to the curb. Nobody asked for my side. Nobody wanted to know what had led to this moment. They just saw the result and decided I was the bad guy. My phone rang constantly. Estelle, old coworkers, people I hadn't talked to in years, all calling to tell me what a monster I was. I stopped answering. Started spending my days at the community center, volunteering with kids' art classes, teaching them to fold paper cranes, showing them how to mix colors. Anything to get out of my head. One afternoon, a little girl with braids asked me why I looked sad. Just thinking about family stuff. I told her, "Did you have a fight?" Something like that. She patted my hand. The same way Seraphine used to when she was little. Before things got complicated. Before love turned into obligation. My mom says fights don't last forever, the girl said. She says if you really love someone, you always find your way back. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to think that this was just a rough patch. A hard lesson, something we look back on years from now and laugh about. But I'd seen the look in Mateo's eyes, the anger, the betrayal, the absolute certainty that I was wrong and he was right. That kind of anger doesn't just disappear. 2 weeks after the locks changed, Marianne called. "They're not suing," she said. "Just thought you want to know." Relief flooded through me. Why not? Because they talked to a lawyer who told them the same thing I told you. Everything you did was legal. They don't have a case. She paused. But Harrison? They're telling people you're senile, that you had a mental breakdown, that this whole thing was a cry for help. My stomach dropped. What? It's damage control. They can't admit they got outplayed, so they're spinning it like you're the one with problems. Just wanted you to be prepared. I hung up feeling sick. This was the cost of standing up for myself. Not just losing my daughter, losing my reputation, my dignity, everything I'd built over 20 years in this community, all because I refused to keep disappearing. Would you still stand your ground if everyone turned against you? Let us know what you'd do. That night, I sat in my apartment and stared at old photos. Seraphine at 7, gap-toothed and fearless. Seraphine at 16, rolling her eyes at my jokes. Seraphine at her wedding, dancing with me while Mateo watched from the sidelines. Or had it all gone wrong? Or had it always been wrong, and I just hadn't wanted to see it? I was still sitting there, lost in memories, when someone knocked on my door. Not Seraphine's desperate pounding. Not Mateo's aggressive bang. A soft, uncertain tap. I opened the door. Standing there, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her, was Seraphine. Alone this time. No Mateo. No armor. Just my daughter, holding a cardboard box. "I found this in storage," she said quietly. "Thought you might want it back." I looked in the box. My old tools. The ones I'd used to build her bookshelf when she was 12. The ones I lent them 2 years ago and never seen again. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. She set the box on my table. Stood there awkwardly, like she didn't know what to do with her hands. "Mateo doesn't know I'm here," she said. "I figured. He's still angry. Says I'm weak for coming to see you. What do you say?" She looked up at me, and for the first time in years, I saw my daughter. Not the woman who'd learned to demand without asking. Not the wife who'd chosen her husband's comfort over her father's dignity. Just Seraphine, scared and lost and trying to find her way. "I say I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, Dad." And just like that, the crack in my chest split wide open. But before I could respond, before I could tell her it was okay or that we'd figure this out or any of the things I want to say, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. A woman's voice I didn't recognize. "Is this Harrison Vale?" "Yes." "This is Lisa Chun from Silvercrest Holdings. We need to talk about the property you sold us. There's been a development." My blood went cold. What kind of development? The kind that might invalidate the sale. I looked at Seraphine. She was watching me, eyes wide. "I'll be right there," I said. And just like that, everything I'd fought for was about to fall apart. The offices of Silvercrest Holdings looked exactly like I'd imagined. Gray carpets, white walls, the kind of sterile environment where emotions went to die. Lisa Chin met me in the lobby. Mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She shook my hand with the grip of someone who'd closed deals that would make grown men cry. "Mr. Vale, thanks for coming on short notice. You said there was a problem with the sale. Let's talk in my office." She led me down a hallway that smelled like expensive coffee and broken dreams. Her office had a window overlooking the city. I didn't sit when she gestured to the chair, just stood there, waiting for the hammer to fall. "We received a complaint yesterday," she said, pulling out a folder, "from your daughter and her husband." "Of course. What kind of complaint?" "They're claiming you weren't of sound mind when you sold the property, that you were experiencing mental distress, that the sale should be voided on grounds of diminished capacity." The room tilted. "That's insane." "Is it?" She opened the folder, pulled out documents. They provided statements from neighbors, friends, your sister, all saying you've been acting erratically, isolating yourself, making impulsive decisions. I isolated myself because they made my life hell. I made one decision, a calculated, legal decision, after months of planning. Can you prove that? The question hit like a slap. What? Can you prove you were of sound mind? Can you provide documentation showing you sought legal counsel, that you understood the ramifications, that this wasn't a breakdown? She leaned forward, because if you can't, Mr. Vale, this gets messy. And when things get messy, companies like mine walk away. We void the sale, return the property, wash our hands of the whole situation. I sank into the chair. They're lying. Maybe, but that's not my problem. She closed the folder. My problem is protecting my company from liability. And right now, you're a liability. Has anyone ever tried to make you look crazy for setting boundaries? Drop a comment if this hits home. I called Marianne from the parking lot. She answered on the first ring. I heard. How did you? Small town Harrison. Legal communities even smaller. Chen's people called mine an hour ago, fishing for information about your mental state. What did you tell them? The truth, that you consulted me for months, that you understood every aspect of the sale, that you were lucid, rational, and well within your rights. She paused. But here's the problem. They've built a narrative, and narratives are powerful things. So what do? You fight back, get character witnesses, medical evaluation, prove you're not the broken old man they're painting you as. That'll take weeks. It'll take as long as it takes. Question is, do you have the stomach for it? I looked up at the building where Lisa Chun was probably already drafting memos about cutting me loose. Thought about Seraphine showing up at my door with my tools. Thought about the apology I'd heard in her voice. Thought about Mateo pulling strings behind the scenes, trying to undo everything because his pride couldn't handle being outmaneuvered. Yeah, I said, I've got the stomach for it. The next 2 weeks were a blur of doctor's appointments and statements and phone calls with Marianne. I got evaluated by a psychiatrist who asked me 100 questions about my mood, my decisions, my relationships. I gathered statements from the community center director, from old co-workers, from anyone who could vouch for my sanity. The whole time, I kept thinking about that word. Sanity. Like wanting to be treated with respect made me crazy. Like refusing to be a doormat meant I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Maybe choosing yourself in a world that demands you sacrifice everything is its own form of insanity. But if it was, I'd rather be crazy than crushed. Seraphine called 3 times during those 2 weeks. I didn't answer. Couldn't, because every time I saw her name on my screen, I wondered if she knew what Mateo was doing, if she'd agreed to the mental illness angle, if her apology had been real, or just another manipulation. I wanted to believe in her, wanted to think my daughter was better than this. But I'd been wrong about so much already. The psychiatric evaluation came back clean. No signs of dementia, depression, or impaired judgment. The doctor's report was 5 pages of clinical language that boiled down to one sentence. Harrison Vale is a competent adult who made a difficult but rational decision. Marianne called the morning after she received it. We're good. Chen's backing down. Sale stands. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. They're not fighting it. Can't. The evidence is too strong. You dotted every I, crossed every T. They've got nothing. What about Seraphine and Mateo? What about them? They made a play. It failed. If they want to keep pushing, they can try, but they'll just rack up legal bills they can't afford. She paused. You won, Harrison. But standing in my apartment, phone still pressed to my ear, I didn't feel like a winner. I felt tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of defending myself. Tired of wondering if I destroyed my relationship with my daughter for the sake of a principle. Thanks, Marianne. I said, Hey. Her voice softened. For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Sometimes the right thing hurts like hell, but that doesn't make it wrong. I hung up and stared at my phone. 3 missed calls from Seraphine. 1 voicemail. I hit play. Her voice was small, broken, Dad, I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know what Mateo was doing. He told me he was just talking to a lawyer, getting advice. I didn't know he was going to. Her breath hitched. Please call me back. Please. I need you to know I didn't want this. The message ended. I sat on my couch and stared at the ceiling. Wanted to believe her. Wanted to think she was telling the truth. But trust, once broken, doesn't just snap back together. Of course I knew he was angry. We were living in a motel. Dad, we lost everything. But I didn't think. I never thought he'd try to say you were mentally ill. That's not. Her voice cracked. That's not who I want to be. But it's who he is. More silence. Longer this time. Yeah, she finally whispered. I guess it is. I closed my eyes. Where is he now? Out. He's been going to bars every night since the lawyer told us the complaint wouldn't work. Comes home drunk. Punches walls. Blames me for not backing him up hard enough. She laughed, but it was hollow. Guess I'm learning what it's like to be someone's punching bag. My chest tightened. Has he hit you? No, not yet, but I see in his eyes sometimes. That anger, like he's one bad day away from crossing a line. Seraphine, I know what you're going to say. Leave him. Walk away. But it's not that simple, Dad. We're married. We have shared debts, shared accounts. I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have money saved up. She stopped. I don't have you anymore. The words gutted me. You could have me, I said quietly, but not if you're with him. Not if you're going to let him drag you into his schemes. Not if you're going to choose him over basic decency. That's not fair. Life's not fair, sweetheart. You taught me that. She cried then. Real, ugly crying. The kind that comes from somewhere deep in your chest where you keep all the things you don't want to look at. I let her cry. Didn't try to fix it. Didn't offer solutions. Just listened. When she finally stopped, her voice was raw. I'm sorry. For everything. For treating you like you didn't matter. For letting Mateo treat you worse. For not seeing what we were doing until it was too late. I know you are. Can we fix this? Have you ever had to choose between family and your own self-respect? Let us know in the comments. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe, but not today. Not while you're still with him. Not while you're still making excuses for behavior you know is wrong. So, what? You're just going to wait until I leave him? What if I don't? Then I guess you made your choice. That's cruel. No, I said, that's a boundary. Something I should have said a long time ago. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat in the dark for an hour, phone still in my hand, wondering if I had just lost her for good. But here's the thing about boundaries. They're not punishments. They're not ultimatums. They're just lines in the sand that say, this far and no further. You want me in your life? You respect the line. Some people will respect it. Some won't. You can't control which kind of person someone chooses to be. 3 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Mr. Vale, this is Officer Patterson with the city police. Your daughter asked me to call you. My heart stopped. Is she okay? She's fine. Shaken up, but fine. She's here at the station. There was an incident at her residence. She's asked if you could come pick her up. I was out the door before he finished the sentence. The police station smelled like bad coffee and worse decisions. Patterson met me at the front desk. Young guy looked tired. She's in the waiting area, he said. Husband got drunk. Started breaking things. Neighbors called it in. He's cooling off in a cell right now. Did he hurt her? No physical injuries. But she's pretty rattled. He looked at me. She says she wants to leave him. Asked if we could help her get her things while he's locked up. I found her sitting on a plastic chair, arms wrapped around herself. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. When she saw me, she started crying again. I didn't say anything. Just sat down next to her and put my arm around her shoulders. She leaned into me. I should have listened to you. Probably. He destroyed the motel room, threw a lamp through the window, kept screaming about how everything was your fault, how you ruined his life. She wiped her eyes. And I just stood there thinking, this is who I chose. This is who I defended. This is who I picked over my own father. You were trying to make your marriage work. No. She pulled back to look at me. I was trying to avoid admitting I made a mistake. There's a difference. Patterson approached. We can escort you both back to collect her belongings if you want. Might be good to do it now while he's still locked up. The motel room looked like a crime scene. Broken glass everywhere. Holes in the walls. The TV shattered on the floor. Seraphine's clothes scattered like someone had thrown them in anger. We packed in silence. She moved mechanically, folding things that didn't need folding, organizing chaos into neat little piles that would fit in garbage bags. I don't have much, she said. Most of our stuff is still at the house you sold. We'll figure it out. Will we? She stopped packing. Dad, I don't even know where I'm going. I can't afford an apartment. I don't have savings. I don't have... You have me? She looked up. You can stay with me, I said. Not forever. Just until you get on your feet. But there are rules. No contact with Mateo. No drama. No expecting me to fix everything. You come to my place. You're a guest. You help with groceries. You clean up after yourself. You treat me like a person, not a bank. I can do that. I'm serious, Seraphine. I won't go back to being your doormat. Not for you. Not for anyone. I know. She grabbed another garbage bag. I don't want you to be. I want my dad back. The one who taught me to play piano. The one who made bad jokes at breakfast. The one I took for granted. I helped her carry the bags to my car. Patterson gave us a card with resources for domestic violence support. Said if she wanted to file a restraining order, they could help with that too. On the drive back to my apartment, Seraphine stared out the window. He's going to be so angry, she said quietly. Let him be angry. He'll try to get back at you. At us. Let him try. I glanced at her. You can't live your life afraid of someone else's anger. I learned that the hard way. We got to my apartment just as the sun was coming up. I gave her the couch, threw a blanket over her, and made coffee. She fell asleep before I finished brewing it. I stood in my little kitchen and watched her sleep. My daughter. Home again. Broken, but home. And I realized something. This wasn't the ending I'd planned. Wasn't a dramatic revenge fantasy where I rode off into sunset while my enemies suffered. This was messier. Sadder. More complicated. But it was real. And maybe real was better than perfect. Sometimes the people we love need to hit rock bottom before they can change. Have you ever watched someone you care about go through that? Share your story below. The next morning, Seraphine woke up to the smell of pancakes. I'd made them the way I used when she was little. Chocolate chips in smiley faces. Butter melting into perfect golden circles. The kind of breakfast that says, "You're safe here." She came into the kitchen with messy hair and yesterday's makeup. Looked at the plate I'd made for her. Started crying again. "I don't deserve this," she said. "Probably not." I poured her coffee. "But you're getting it anyway. That's what family does." She ate slowly, like she was afraid the food might disappear if she wasn't careful. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you figure out what you want her life to look like. Get a job if you don't have one. Save money. File for divorce. Build something that's yours." That sounds hard. It is hard. I sat across from her. But you know what's harder? Staying with someone who makes you feel worthless. Living a life that's too small for you. That's harder. She nodded, took another bite. "How did you get so smart?" "I'm not smart. I'm just tired of being stupid." She laughed. Actually laughed. First time I'd heard that sound in years. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "You think you won? You didn't win shit. I'm coming for everything you have. You and that bitch daughter of yours. Watch your back. Old man." I showed Seraphine the message. Her face went pale. "That's Mateo," she whispered. "He must have gotten out." "Probably." "Dad, he's serious. When he gets like this, he's dangerous." I deleted the message. Then I guess he's about to learn what dangerous really looks like. Because here's what Mateo didn't understand. I wasn't just some old man he could bully. I was a father protecting his daughter. And fathers who've already lost everything once don't have anything left to lose. I called Patterson, forwarded the message, filed a police report. Then I called Mary Ann. I need a restraining order, I said. Today. Consider it done. Then I double-checked the locks on my door, made sure the windows were secure, set up a camera I bought from the hardware store, pointing at the front entrance. Seraphine watched me work. You're really not scared of him. Oh, I'm scared. I adjusted the camera angle. But I'm more angry than scared. And anger's a better fuel than fear. We spent the rest of the day fortifying my little apartment like it was a castle under siege. By evening, we had cameras, new locks, pepper spray by the door, and Patterson's number on speed dial. This is insane, Seraphine said, looking at our handiwork. Yeah, I locked the final deadbolt. But it's our insane. And nobody's taking it from us. That night, we sat on my couch and watched old movies. Stupid comedies that didn't require thinking. She fell asleep halfway through the second one, head on my shoulder. I stayed awake, watching the door, watching the cameras, watching for any sign that Mateo was making good on his threats. He didn't show that night, but I knew he would eventually, because angry men always do. The brick came through my window at 2 a.m. I was half asleep on the couch, camera footage playing on my laptop, when I heard the glass shatter. Seraphine screamed from the bedroom. I was on my feet before the brick finished bouncing across my floor. There was a note wrapped around it with rubber bands. Scrawled in angry capital letters, "You can't hide forever." I looked out the broken window. Street was empty. Whoever threw it was already gone. Seraphine appeared in the doorway, shaking. Was that? Yeah. I pulled out my phone, dialed Patterson. Get back to bed. I'll handle this. Dad, we need to leave. We need to go somewhere he can't find us. I'm not running from a bully. I put the phone to my ear. Not anymore. Patterson arrived 20 minutes later with another officer. They took photos, collected the brick, filed another report. The note went into an evidence bag. This is escalating, Patterson said. You sure you don't want to relocate temporarily? Just until we bring him in? I'm sure. After they left, I boarded up the window with plywood from a hardware store down the street. 3 a.m, alone in my kitchen, hammer in hand, securing my home against a man who couldn't accept that he'd lost. Seraphine came out and watched. This is my fault. No, I drove another nail. This is his fault. He's the one choosing violence. He's the one who can't handle consequences. But if I hadn't married him, you'd have married someone else. Maybe someone better. Maybe someone worse. You can't live in what-ifs. I stepped back, examined my work. You can only deal with what is. She helped me clean up the glass. We worked in silence, sweeping shards into a dustpan, wiping down surfaces. Normal domestic tasks in the middle of an abnormal night. I filed for divorce, she said suddenly. Yesterday, while you were at the hardware store. I stopped sweeping. Yeah. Lawyer says it'll take a while. Mateo's gonna fight it. But I don't care anymore. I'm done. Good. I dumped glass into the trash. That's good, Serafina. We finished cleaning just as the sun started coming up. She made coffee. I made eggs. We sat at my little table and ate breakfast like the window hadn't been broken 3 hours earlier. This is nice, she said. Weird, but nice. What's weird about it? Eating breakfast with you. Haven't done this since I was a kid. She smiled. You always made the best scrambled eggs. Still do. She laughed, then stopped. Dad, I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped. What? When Mateo and I first moved into the house, your house, he wanted to put in both our names. Said it would be more secure that way. More official. She looked down at her plate. I told him no. Said it was your house, and your name should stay on it. He got so angry. Said I was choosing you over him. You should have told me. I know, but I was scared. Scared he'd leave. Scared I'd be alone. So I kept quiet and let him treat you like garbage because it was easier than standing up to him. Have you ever kept quiet about someone's bad behavior because speaking up felt too hard? Drop a comment if you've been there. I reached across the table, took her hand. You're not that person anymore. How do you know? Because you're here. Because you left. Because you're trying. I squeezed her hand. That's all anyone can do. Try. We spent the day making my apartment into something livable for 2 people. She helped me rearrange furniture, organize the kitchen, set up a corner where she could work on job applications. Around noon, my phone rang. Mary Ann, restraining orders approved, she said. Mateo comes within 500 feet of you, or Seraphine. He goes to jail. I'm having it served this afternoon. He's not going to take it well. That's his problem. He violates it. He's looking at real time. Most guys back off once they realize the system's watching. Most guys aren't Mateo. No, she agreed. Most guys aren't. Watch yourself, Harrison. That evening, Seraphine got a call from her old friend Rachel. I could hear both sides of the conversation from the kitchen. You left him? Rachel's voice was shrill with disbelief. Sarah, what are you thinking? Do you know how hard it is to start over at your age? I'm 32, not 70. Still, you had a good thing. A husband with a career. A nice house. Well, before your dad went crazy and sold it. Seraphine's voice went cold. My dad didn't go crazy. He set boundaries. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm standing, he kicked you out and now you're living in his depressing little apartment. That sounds pretty crazy to me. Then maybe you should stand somewhere else. Seraphine hung up, stood there for a minute, phone still in her hand. You okay? I asked. Yeah. She smiled but was sad, just realizing how many friends I'm about to lose. They weren't friends if they sided with him over basic decency. I know. Still hurts, though. I understood that. Losing people always hurts, even when you know it's necessary. Even when they were never really on your side to begin with. 2 days passed. Quiet days. Seraphine applied for jobs. I worked on a project at the community center. We cooked dinner together, watched TV. Fell into a routine that felt almost normal. Then, on the 3rd day, everything exploded. I was walking back from the grocery store when I saw him, Mateo, standing across the street from my building, just outside the 500-foot boundary, watching, waiting. Our eyes met. He smiled, not a friendly smile. The kind of smile that says, I know something you don't. I pulled out my phone, called Patterson. He's here, across from my building. Is he within the restricted distance? I looked at the street markers, just outside it. Then, technically, he's not violating the order, but I'll send a unit to monitor. Don't engage with him, Harrison. I hung up, crossed the street, walked right up to the boundary line. You got something to say? I asked. Mateo's smile widened. Just wanted to see how you're doing. You and my wife. Ex-wife. Divorce papers are filed. Papers don't mean shit until a judge signs them. He pulled out a cigarette, lit it. She'll come back. They always do. Once she realizes how hard life is without me, she'll come crawling back. Keep telling yourself that. You think you're protecting her? He took a drag. You're not. You're just delaying the inevitable. She's weak. Always has been. Needs someone to make decisions for her. That's not you, old man. That's me. I wanted to hit him. Wanted to cross that line and put my fist through his smug face. But that's exactly what he wanted. He was trying to provoke me. Get me to violate my own principles. So I smiled instead. You know what I think? I think you're terrified. Terrified that she's going to realize she's better off without you. That she wasted years of her life on a man who only knows how to take. His smile faltered. You want her back? I continued. It's not because you love her. It's because you can't stand losing. Can't handle the idea that someone you consider beneath you had the strength to walk away. Fuck you. Already did that when I sold the house. I turned to walk away. Enjoy standing out here in the cold, Mateo. Hope it's worth it. This isn't over, he shouted after me. I kept walking. Yeah, it is. You just don't know it yet. Back in my apartment. Seraphine was pacing. I saw him from the window. What did he say? Nothing important. I set down the groceries. He's trying to rattle us. Don't let him. What if he does something worse? What if next time it's not just a brick? Then next time we'll handle it. Together. She stopped pacing. Looked at me. You're different now. How so? Before, you would have avoided conflict. Backed down. Made yourself smaller to keep the peace. She shook her head. Now you're walking right up to him. Standing your ground. When did that happen? When I stopped caring more about keeping the peace than keeping my dignity. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Mateo standing across the street. About that smile. About the threat in his voice when he said this wasn't over. He was planning something. I could feel it. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Text from Patterson. Mateo just posted bail for the motel incident. Thought you should know. Stay alert. I got out of bed, checked all the locks, reviewed the camera footage. Everything was secure. But secure didn't mean safe. I was making coffee when I heard it. Footsteps outside my door. Slow. Deliberate. Someone testing the lock. I grabbed the baseball bat I'd started keeping by the couch. Moved to the door quietly. Looked through the peephole. Mateo stood there, hand on my doorknob, twisting it back and forth. Testing. I pulled out my phone, started recording. I know you're in there, he said, voice low. I know you're watching. You think a restraining order scares me? You think your cameras scare me? I'm not going anywhere. Harrison, I'm going to make your life hell until you give me back what's mine. She's not yours, I said through the door. She never was. He kicked the door. Once. Hard enough to rattle the frame. You're going to regret this, he hissed. Both of you. Then footsteps. Running. He was gone. I called Patterson immediately, sent him the video. Within 30 minutes. There were police at my building. Within an hour, Mateo was back in custody for violating the restraining order. Seraphine stood in the kitchen, wrapped in a blanket, watching everything unfold. It's really over? For now. What about when he gets out again? Then we deal with it again. I locked the door after the police left, as many times as it takes, until he finally understands that we're not his to control. She nodded, but I could see the fear in her eyes, the knowledge that some fights don't end just because you want them to. Have you ever had to stand up to someone who refused to accept no for an answer? Let us know how you handled it. The next morning, Marianne called with news. Judge saw the video. Mateo's looking at 60 days for violating the order. Longer if he pulls anything else. 60 days isn't enough. It's what we've got. Use the time to prepare. Get Seraphine into counseling. Maybe talk to a security consultant about better protection for your place. After I hung up, I found Seraphine sitting on the couch, laptop open, staring at a job application she'd been working on for 3 days. Can't focus. I asked, every time I try to think about the future, all I see is him. Waiting, planning his next move. She closed the laptop. How you stop being afraid? You don't stop. You just stop letting the fear make your decisions for you. That's easier said than done. Everything worth doing is... She looked at me, really looked at me. When did you get so wise? Around the same time I got tired of being a fool. 2 weeks passed. Seraphine started seeing a therapist. Got a job as a receptionist at a dental office. Started rebuilding her life piece by piece. Some days were good. Some days she'd break down crying over nothing. But every day she got a little stronger. I went back to volunteering at the community center. The kids asked where I'd been. I told them I'd been dealing with family stuff. They nodded like they understood. Kids always understand more than adults think they do. One afternoon, a boy named Marcus asked me why I looked tired. Just haven't been sleeping well. I said, because of bad dreams? Something like that. My mom says bad dreams go away when you face the thing you're scared of. He folded a paper crane, concentration fierce on his small face. Maybe you should try that. Out of the mouths of babes. That night, I sat down and wrote everything out. The whole story. Every detail. From buying the house 20 years ago to Mateo kicking my door. I wrote until my hand cramped and my eyes burned. When I was done, I had 40 pages of my life on paper. The good, the bad, the ugly. I gave it to Seraphine to read. She finished it at 3 in the morning. Came out of her room with red eyes and a question. Do you regret it? Selling the house? Starting all this? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said. I regret not doing it sooner. She hugged me then. Tight. The kind of hug that says things words can't. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up on me. Never. The 60 days passed faster than I expected. One morning I woke up and realized Mateo would be released that afternoon. The knowledge sat in my stomach like a stone. I called Patterson. What happens now? He's been ordered to stay away from both of you. If he violates it again, he's looking at serious time. Most guys learn their lesson after the first stint. And if he's not most guys? Patterson was quiet for a moment. Then we deal with it when it happens. That's all we can do. I hung up feeling hollowed out. This was supposed to be over. The house was sold. Boundaries were set. Justice was served. But it didn't feel over. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, waiting for someone to push. Seraphine must have seen it on my face. He's out today, isn't he? Yeah. What do? We live our lives. We don't let him control us from a distance. We keep moving forward. And if he shows up, then we call the police. And we keep calling them, as many times as it takes. She nodded, but I could see her hands shaking. That evening, we made dinner together. Pasta with marinara sauce, garlic bread, a salad, normal things, peaceful things. We set the table, poured wine, sat down like two people who weren't waiting for the other shoe to drop. We were halfway through the meal when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up, heavy breathing on the other end. Then Mateo's voice, low and dangerous. Enjoy your dinner, Harrison. Enjoy your little victory. Because soon, very soon, you're going to understand what it means to take something from me. The line went dead. I looked at Seraphine. Her face had gone pale. He knows we're eating dinner, she whispered. He's watching us. I stood up, went to the window, scanned the street. Nothing. No one. But that didn't mean anything. He was out there. Somewhere. Watching. Waiting. And this time, I didn't think he was going to stop at a brick through the window. I called Patterson. Again, he showed up with 2 other officers. Searched the area. Found nothing. Mateo was a ghost. But ghosts can't make phone calls. We'll increase patrols in your neighborhood, Patterson said. But Harrison, you need to consider moving, at least temporarily. I'm not running. This isn't about running. It's about staying alive. He looked at Seraphine. Both of you. After they left, I installed more cameras. One on the fire escape, one in the hallway, one pointing at the back alley. My apartment started looking like a surveillance hub. Screens everywhere. Angles of empty streets and dark corners. Seraphine watched me work. This is insane. Yeah. We can't live like this forever. We won't have to. I adjusted a camera angle. Eventually he'll slip up. Do something stupid. And when he does, they'll lock him up for real. And if he doesn't slip up, if he's smart enough to stay just outside the law while making our lives hell. I didn't have an answer for that. The harassment started small. Phone calls from block numbers at odd hours. Nothing but breathing on the other end. Pizza deliveries we didn't order. Taxis showing up at 3 in the morning. Drivers angry about being sent to a fake address. Then it escalated. Someone slashed my tires. Left a dead rat on my doorstep. Spray-painted snitch on my mailbox. Each time we called the police. Each time they took a report. Each time nothing happened because there was no proof it was Mateo. He's smarter than I thought, Seraphine said after the mailbox incident. He's making it impossible to prove anything. Then we get smarter, too. I started documenting everything. Times, dates, incidents. Build a timeline that showed the pattern. Share it with Marianne, with Patterson, with anyone who would listen. This is stalking, Marianne said, looking at my notes. Classic pattern. But without evidence directly linking him to these incidents, it's hard to make charges stick. So what do? Keep documenting. Stay vigilant. And pray he makes a mistake. Praying felt like weak strategy. But I did it anyway. When someone's harassing you but staying just inside the law, what can you even do? Drop your thoughts below. Seraphine started having nightmares. I'd wake up to her screaming, thrashing in her sleep. She'd apologize, say she was fine, go back to bed. But I could see the exhaustion eating at her, the constant vigilance, the fear. One morning, she came into the kitchen with dark circles under her eyes. I can't do this anymore, she said flatly. My heart stopped. Can't do what? This. Hiding. Looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes. I feel like I'm in prison. She poured coffee with shaking hands. Maybe I should just talk to him. Try to reason with him. Tell him I'm sorry and maybe he'll leave us alone. Absolutely not. Dad. No. I stood up. You talked to him. You're telling him his tactics work. You're rewarding his behavior. That's exactly what he wants. What he wants is to destroy us. And it's working. Look at us. She gestured around the apartment. We're living in a fortress. We don't go anywhere. We don't see anyone. This isn't living. This is surviving. Barely. She was right. We'd become prisoners in our own lives, and Mateo hadn't even had to touch us to do it. So what's the alternative? I asked. I don't know. She sat down, head in her hands. I just know I can't keep doing this. We sat in silence. The cameras hummed. The morning light filtered through the boarded-up window I still hadn't replaced. What if we went to him? I said suddenly. She looked up. What? What if we stopped reacting and started acting? What if we confronted him on our terms in a public place with witnesses? That's crazy. So is everything else we've tried. I leaned forward. Look, he's counting on us being scared. Staying hidden. What if we flip the script? What if we meet him face to face and tell him, in front of people, exactly what he's doing? He'll deny everything. Probably, but at least we'll have tried something other than hiding. She thought about it. I could see her weighing the risks, measuring her fear against her exhaustion. Okay, she finally said, but we do it right. Public place. The time. Witnesses. And the second he gets aggressive, we leave. Deal. I called Mateo from a burner phone I bought. He answered on the second ring. Finally ready to talk like adults? His voice was smug. Coffee shop on Main Street. Tomorrow at 2. You, me, and Seraphine. We settle this like civilized people. Or what? Or this harassment campaign of yours continues, and eventually you slip up and go back to jail. Your choice. Silence. Then, fine, 2 o'clock. But if you try anything, we're not trying anything. Just talking. I hung up before he could respond. Seraphine looked at me. Did we just make a huge mistake? Maybe, but we're about to find out. The coffee shop was crowded the next afternoon. Good. Lots of witnesses. Patterson knew we were going to be there. Marianne knew. I had my phone set to record audio in my pocket. We got there early. Took a table near the window. Ordered coffee we didn't drink. Mateo showed up exactly at 2. Dressed nice. Hair combed. Playing the part of the reasonable man. He sat down across from us like this was a business meeting. Seraphine. He smiled at her. You look good. Don't. His smile tightened. Can a man compliment his wife? Ex-wife. The papers are filed. Right. The papers. He turned to me. Harrison. Looking well. Apartment treating you okay? Cut the act, Mateo. I leaned forward. We're here to tell you to leave us alone. Stop the calls. Stop the vandalism. Stop watching us. It's over. Accept it and move on. Watching you. He raised his eyebrows. I don't know what you're talking about. The phone calls. The dead rat. The slashed tires. Proof. He spread his hands. Do you have any proof I did those things? Because I've been busy. Job hunting, apartment shopping, dealing with the divorce my wife sprung on me. He looked at Seraphine. You didn't even give me a chance to fix things. Just ran to Daddy and filed papers. There was nothing to fix, she said quietly. You broke something that can't be repaired. That's not true. His voice got softer, gentler. The manipulation's starting. We can work this out. Marriage is hard. We just need counseling. Time. I can change. You had time. Years of it. You didn't change. You got worse. His jaw tightened. There, the mask slipping. This is all his fault. He pointed at me. He poisoned you against me. Sold our house out from under us. Turned you into his little puppet. I'm not a puppet. Aren't you? He leaned forward. You're living in his apartment, following his rules, doing exactly what he tells you. How is that any different from being with me? Because he respects me, she said. You never did. When someone tries to manipulate you in public, playing the victim, how do you stay strong? Share your experience below. The mask shattered. Mateo's face twisted into something ugly. Respect? I gave you everything. A home, a life, status, and you threw it away because your daddy sold a house. He laughed, but was vicious. You're pathetic. Both of you. We're done here. I stood up. Sit down. Mateo's voice was steel. I'm not finished. Yeah, you are. Seraphine stood too. You're finished with us. Finished controlling us. Finished making us feel like we're the problem. Her voice shook, but stayed strong. You want to know the truth, Mateo? I don't love you. I don't even like you. I stayed because I was scared. But I'm not scared anymore. His hand shot out, grabbed her wrist. You don't get to talk to me like that. I was around the table in a second. Let her go. Or what, old man? The coffee shop had gone quiet. People were watching. Phones were out, recording. Let her go, I repeated, or everyone here sees exactly who you are. He looked around, saw the cameras, saw the witnesses, saw his leverage evaporating. He let go. Seraphine rubbed her wrist. Red marks where his fingers had been. You're going to regret this, Mateo said quietly. Both of you. I promise you that. We already regret knowing you, I said. So we're even. We walked out. He didn't follow. In the car, Seraphine started shaking. Full body tremors. He grabbed me. In front of all those people, he grabbed me. I know. I got on video. He's not going to stop. You know that, right? He's never going to stop. Then we'll keep fighting, as long as it takes. But sitting in that car, watching Mateo through the coffee shop window as he sat alone at our table with his fists clenched and his face red with rage, I knew something had shifted. This wasn't about a house anymore. It wasn't about boundaries or respect or teaching lessons. This was about survival. And I wasn't sure we were going to survive it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept replaying the scene. The way Mateo's hand had snapped out to grab Seraphine. The look in his eyes. Pure possession. Like she was a thing he owned, not a person who'd made a choice. I got up, checked the cameras for the 100th time. Seraphine was asleep on the couch, TV on low volume, like she couldn't stand the quiet. My phone buzzed. Text from Patterson. Saw the video. Bringing Mateo in for questioning tomorrow. This might be enough to extend the restraining order. Keep your head down until then. I texted back a thanks and went to make coffee. 3 a.m. coffee. The kind you drink when you know sleep isn't coming. I was pouring my second cup when I heard it. A sound outside. Scraping. Like metal on brick. I grabbed the bat, went to the window, looked down into the alley. Mateo stood there with a can of spray paint, writing something on the wall of my building. He looked up, saw me watching, and smiled. Then he raised a can and wrote in huge letters, "Next time I won't miss." I called Patterson. He was there in 10 minutes. But Mateo was gone. Just a message on the wall. Proof. Finally. Actual proof. We got him on camera? Patterson asked. Every second. Good. That's terroristic threatening. Judge won't like that. He's going away for a while this time. They picked up Mateo at dawn. I watched from my window as they put him in the back of a squad car. He looked up at my building one last time, locked eyes with me, and mouthed the words, "This isn't over." But it was over, at least for now. The judge gave him 6 months, plus mandatory anger management, plus a permanent restraining order. If he came near us after his release, it would be a felony. 6 months, Seraphine said when I told her. That's it. That's what we got. What happens in 6 months? Hopefully by then we'll be ready. She nodded, but I could see the fear hadn't left her eyes. Because 6 months sounds like a long time, until it isn't. The first month without Mateo felt like breathing after being underwater. We replaced the broken window, painted over the graffiti, started living like normal people instead of prisoners. Seraphine threw herself into her job, got promoted to office manager within 3 weeks, started making real money, started talking about getting her own place someday. Not that I don't appreciate living here, she said over dinner one night, but I need to prove to myself I can do it alone. I get it. I did. Independence wasn't just about money or space. It was about knowing you could survive. When Mateo gets out, we'll deal with it then. For now, let's just be grateful for the peace. But peace is fragile. I should have remembered that. Month 2, Seraphine started getting letters. Not to my apartment, to her work. Typed envelopes with no return address. She brought them home, hands shaking. The letters were polite, almost friendly. Mateo, writing about his time in jail, about the anger management classes, about how much he'd learned and grown, about how sorry he was, how much he'd changed. He's working an angle, I said after reading the 3rd one. I know, but what if he's telling the truth? What if he really has changed? People don't change in 2 months, Seraphine. Some do. Not him. She wanted to believe in redemption. I understood that. But I'd seen too much of Mateo to think 6 months of mandatory therapy would fix what was broken in him. Don't respond. I had told her. Don't engage. That's what he wants. She agreed. But I caught her rereading the letter sometimes, late at night when she thought I was asleep. Month 3, the letters stopped. I should have been relieved. Instead, the silence felt worse, like the quiet before a storm. Seraphine's divorce was finalized that month. She came home with the papers, sat at my table, and just stared at them. "I'm officially not married anymore," she said. "How do you feel?" "Free." "Terrified." "Both." She looked up at me. "Is it always as complicated?" "Only when it matters." She nodded, then took the papers and filed them away in a folder marked New Start. I was proud of her, more proud than I'd been in years. When you finally close a chapter of your life, do you feel relief or fear? Let us know in the comments. Month 4, I started having nightmares. Not about Mateo. About Seraphine. Dreams where she went back to him. Dreams where she disappeared, and I couldn't find her. Dreams where I failed to protect her. I'd wake up sweating, check her room to make sure she was still there. She always was. Curled up under blankets, phone charging on the nightstand, breathing steady and safe. But the dreams kept coming. My sister, Estelle, called one afternoon. First time we'd talked since I sold the house. "I heard about Mateo," she said. "Heard what he did." "Yeah. I'm sorry, Harrison. I was wrong. About everything. You weren't being cruel. You were protecting yourself. Protecting Seraphine. Took you long enough to figure that out. I know. I'm sorry." She paused. "How is she?" "Getting better. Stronger. She's going to be okay." "And you?" I thought about it. "I'm getting there." "Good. That's good." Another pause. "Listen, I know I don't have a right to ask, but can I come visit? See you both? I want to make things right." I looked at Seraphine, who was folding laundry in the corner, humming to herself. "Yeah," I said, "that would be nice." Estelle came the next week, brought groceries and apologies and stories about her kids. She and Seraphine talked for hours, catching up on lost time. She hugged me before she left. "You did good, brother," she whispered. "Real good." After she left, Seraphine smiled. I like having family again. Me too. Month 5, I started teaching Seraphine self-defense. Found a class at the community center, went with her twice a week. She learned how to break grips, how to strike, how to run. I don't ever want to need this, she said after one particularly hard session. Then let's hope you never do. But we both knew hope wasn't enough. The community center became our haven. Kids knew us by name. Parents waved when they saw us. We belonged somewhere again. I taught paper crane folding. Seraphine started helping with the after-school program. We'd come home tired but content, covered in paint and glitter, talking about the kids and their projects. It felt like life. Real life. Not perfect, but ours. Month 6 arrived faster than I wanted. Mateo's release date was circled on my calendar. Red marker. Like a deadline. Patterson called the day before. He was getting out tomorrow. 11 a.m. wanted you to know. Has he said anything? Made any threats? Been a model prisoner from what I hear. Completed his anger management. Glowing reviews from his counselors. Patterson paused. But Harrison? Model prisoners can still be dangerous. Watch yourself. I hung up and looked at Seraphine. She'd heard my side of the conversation. Tomorrow, she said. Tomorrow, what do? We keep living. We don't let him take this away from us. That night, neither of us slept. We sat on the couch, TV playing something neither of us watched, waiting for morning like it was a verdict. 11 a.m. came and went. No phone calls. No threats. No Mateo. By evening, I started to relax. Maybe he really had changed. Maybe prison had taught him something. Maybe we'd get our happy ending after all. I should have known better. At 9 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Retry. Continue. Edit. I answered. Silence on the other end. Then breathing. Heavy. Deliberate. Hello, Harrison. Mateo's voice was different. Calmer. Almost friendly. That's what scared me most. What do you want? Just wanted to let you know I'm out. Free man. Clean slate. Thought I'd check in, see how you two are doing. We're fine. Stay away from us. Oh, I plan to. Restraining order's still active, right? I'm a law-abiding citizen now. Learn my lesson. He laughed softly. But Harrison, restraining orders are just pieces of paper. They can't protect you from everything. If you come near us. I won't. Don't need to. See, I've been doing a lot of thinking these past 6 months. A lot of reading. A lot of planning. And I realized something. The best revenge isn't violence. It's patience. My blood went cold. What are you talking about? You'll see. Or maybe you won't. That's the beauty of it. He paused. Tell Seraphine I said hello. Tell her I'm thinking about her. Always. The line went dead. I stood there, phone in my hand, that conversation echoing in my head. Patience. Planning. The best revenge. Seraphine came out of her room. Was that him? Yeah. What did he say? I thought about lying, protecting her from the fear. But we were past that now. He said he's been planning something. Said restraining orders are just paper. Her face went pale. We need to leave. Tonight. Pack up and go somewhere he can't find us. And go where? Run for how long? I shook my head. No, we're not running. We call Patterson, we document this call, and we stay alert. Dad, he's going to do something. You heard him. I know. I pulled her into a hug. But we've survived everything else he's thrown at us. We'll survive this too. I called Patterson. He took my statement. Said they'd monitor Mateo closely. Said to call immediately if anything else happened. But monitoring was enough. Not against someone patient. The next week was torture. Every phone call made me jump. Every unexpected noise sent my heart racing. I started sleeping with the bat next to my bed. Started checking the cameras every hour. Seraphine walked to work now. Refused to take the bus. Said being in the open felt safer. I followed her route from a distance, making sure she got there safe. She knew I was doing it. Never complained. Nothing happened. No threats. No vandalism. No sign of Mateo at all. That was worse than the harassment, because now we were fighting shadows. 2 weeks after his release, I got a call from my landlord. "Harrison, we need to talk about your lease." My stomach dropped. "What about it?" "Someone filed a complaint. Said you're running some kind of illegal surveillance operation. Said you've got cameras everywhere harassing neighbors, creating a hostile environment. That's insane. The cameras are for our protection. I understand, but I've got other tenants complaining. I'm going to need you to remove them. Building policy." "Who filed the complaint?" "Anonymous tip, but it was detailed. Knew exactly where every camera was placed." "Mateo. Of course it was Mateo. Can you give me a few days? Let me talk to the police. Explain the situation?" The landlord sighed. "You've got until the end of the week. After that, the cameras come down or you're in violation of your lease." I hung up and wanted to scream. This was his plan. Dismantle our defenses. Make us vulnerable. All while staying perfectly legal. Seraphine came home from work that evening with news of her own. "I got written up today," she said, dropping her bag on the couch. "For what?" "Someone reported me for stealing office supplies. Said they saw me taking boxes of pens home." She laughed bitterly. "I've never stolen anything in my life." "Let me guess. Anonymous complaint." "How did you know?" "I told her about the landlord, about the cameras." She sank into the couch. "He's doing it. Everything legal. Everything just inside the rules. Making our lives impossible without ever showing his face." "Yeah. So what do we do?" "When someone attacks you in ways you can't prove, how do you fight back? Drop your thoughts below." I spent the next 3 days talking to lawyers, to Patterson, to anyone who would listen. Everyone gave me the same answer. Without proof Mateo was behind the complaints, there was nothing we could do. I had to take down the cameras. Had to trust that Seraphine would be safe without them. Had to hope that Mateo would slip up eventually. Hope. That dangerous, fragile thing. The night I removed the last camera, I stood in my apartment and felt exposed. Naked. Like I'd just removed armor before walking into battle. Seraphine watched from the doorway. "We're going to be okay, right?" "Yeah." I didn't know if I believed it. "We're going to be okay." 3 days later, Seraphine didn't come home from work. 6 o'clock came and went. I called her phone. Straight to voicemail. Called her office. They said she left at 5:30, like always. 7 o'clock. Still nothing. I walked her usual route. No sign of her. 8 o'clock. I called Patterson. "Something's wrong. She's not answering her phone. She didn't come home." Has she ever been late before? Not without calling. Not without telling me. "Okay, file a missing persons report. I'll start looking." 9 o'clock. Police at my apartment. Questions. Descriptions. Last known whereabouts. 10 o'clock. I called everyone. Her friends. Her co-workers. Estelle. Nobody had seen her. 11 o'clock. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Looking for someone?" Mateo's voice. Calm. Almost cheerful. My world stopped. Where is she? Somewhere safe. For now. If you hurt her... Hurt her? Harrison, I love her. I'd never hurt her. I'm just having a conversation with my wife. Well, ex-wife. Trying to remind her of what she gave up. Let her go. Now. Or what? You'll call the police? Tell them what? That I'm talking to a woman who came to see me voluntarily? He laughed. Yeah, she came to me. Showed up at my new apartment saying she wanted to talk. Wanted to see if we could work things out. Isn't that sweet? You're lying. Am I? Ask her yourself. There was rustling. Then Seraphine's voice, shaky and small. Dad. Seraphine, are you okay? Did he hurt you? I'm fine. I'm sorry. I thought if I talked to him, if I apologized, maybe he'd leave us alone. My heart shattered. Where are you? I don't know. Some apartment. He said we'd just talk, but he won't let me leave. He took my phone. The phone was yanked away. Mateo again. See? Voluntary visit. No laws broken. Just two adults having conversation. Let her go. Eventually, after we've talked, after she remembers why she married me in the first place, after she realizes what mistake she made choosing you over me. Mateo, please. You know what I learned in prison, Harrison? Patience. The system can't touch me if I'm patient, if I'm smart, if I stay inside the lines. His voice dropped, but inside those lines, there's a lot of room to make people suffer. If anything happens to her, it won't, probably, as long as she's reasonable, as long as she listens, as long as she remembers who she belongs to. The line went dead. I stood in my apartment, phone in my hand, the world collapsing around me. Patterson arrived 15 minutes later. I played in the recording. He called for backup immediately. Do you know where his apartment is? No, he never told us. We'll find it. Phone records. GPS. We'll find her. But hours passed. They couldn't trace the call. Couldn't locate his apartment. Mateo had been smart. Burner phone. Cash rental. No paper trail. At 3 a.m., sitting in my apartment surrounded by police and fear, I realized something. I'd been playing defense this whole time. Reacting. Protecting. Waiting for him to make mistakes. It was time to go on offense. I know how to find him, I said suddenly. Patterson looked up. How? He's arrogant. Always has been. He thinks he's smarter than everyone, which means he's watching this right now. Watching us scramble. Feeling powerful. So we give him what he wants. We make him feel like he's won. And when he gets comfortable, he'll slip up. I pulled out my phone. Called Mateo's last known number. He answered immediately. Change your mind about something? You want me to beg? Fine. I'm begging. Please let her go. Please don't hurt her. I'll do anything. Silence. Then anything? Anything. Sign over the money from a house sale. Every penny. Transfer it to an account I'll provide. Do that and I'll let her go. There it was. What he really wanted. Money. Control. Victory. Okay, I said, I'll do it. But I need proof she's alive. I need to talk to her first. More rustling. Seraphine's voice. Dad, don't give him anything. I'll be... The phone cut off. Midnight tomorrow, Mateo said. I'll text you instructions. Have the money ready. He hung up. Patterson looked at me. You're not actually going to. Of course not. But now we know he'll be somewhere tomorrow night. Somewhere he feels safe enough to collect money. That's when we get her. That's when we get them both. Patterson corrected. This is kidnapping now. Extortion. He just handed us everything we need. I nodded, but all I could think about was Seraphine's voice. Scared. Trapped. Trying to protect me even while she was the one in danger. I'd failed her. Let her walk right into his trap. Because I'd been too busy preparing for attacks, I could see to notice the ones I couldn't. But I was going to get her back. Whatever it took. The instructions came at noon the next day. Text from a burner number. Address of an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Midnight. Come alone. Bring proof of the bank transfer. Patterson set up surveillance immediately. Plainclothes officers. Unmarked cars. A SWAT team on standby 2 blocks away. The whole operation mapped out like a military strike. You're not going alone, Patterson said for the 10th time. I have to. He'll be watching. If he sees cops, he'll disappear. Or worse. Then we wire you. Camera, audio, GPS. The second things go wrong, we move in. I agreed. Spent the afternoon getting fitted with equipment that felt like I was preparing for war. Maybe I was. Estelle called at 5. Harrison, what's happening? I heard Seraphine's missing. She went to talk to Mateo. He's not letting her leave. Jesus, are you okay? No, but I will be after tonight. Be careful, please. I will. I hung up and stared at the clock. 7 more hours. 7 more hours of Seraphine trapped with a man who'd proven he'd do anything to win. I made coffee. Couldn't drink it. Made dinner. Couldn't eat it. Check my equipment 6 times. Check the fake bank transfer documents Marianne had prepared. Everything had to look real. Patterson showed up at 11, ready as I'll ever be. Remember, you're not a hero. You're bait with the cavalry. You get in, you confirm she's alive. You get out. We handle the rest. Got it. But driving to that warehouse, I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Nothing with Mateo ever was. The warehouse looked exactly like you'd imagine. Broken windows, graffiti, the kind of place where bad things happen and nobody asked questions. I parked where Mateo had instructed, killed the engine, sat in the dark. My phone buzzed, text from the burner number, walked to the side door, come inside. Alone, I got out. The wire under my shirt felt like it was burning against my skin. I walked slowly, scanning for cameras, for traps, for anything that might tell me what I was walking into. The side door was unlocked. I pushed it open. The warehouse was dark, except for a single light in the center. Under it, tied to a chair, was Seraphine. My heart stopped. She looked exhausted, scared, but alive. Her eyes went wide when she saw me. Dad, no, it's a trap. Mateo stepped out of the shadows, gun in his hand. Everything changed. Hello, Harrison. He smiled. Glad you could make it. I raised my hand slowly. You got what you wanted. Let her go. Not quite yet. First, the money. Did you bring the transfer proof? I pulled out the documents. It's all here. Every penny from the house sale. He gestured with the gun. Bring it here. Slowly. I walked forward, documents in hand. Got close enough to see Seraphine's face clearly. There were bruises on her wrists where the ropes had rubbed. Rage flooded through me. But I pushed it down. Mateo snatched the documents. Read them. Smiled wider. Excellent. See how easy that was? All this drama could have been avoided if you'd just been reasonable from the start. I was reasonable. You weren't. Perspective, Harrison. It's all about perspective. He tucked the documents into his pocket. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk out of here. Seraphine stays with me for another few hours, just to make sure that transfer actually goes through. Once I confirm the money's in my account, I let her go. That wasn't the deal. Deals change. He cocked the gun. Walk away, old man. This doesn't have to get messy. When someone threatens you with violence, do you fight or do you trust the system to save you? Let us know what you do. I looked at Seraphine. She was shaking her head, mouthing the word, go. But I couldn't leave her. Wouldn't leave her. No, I said. Mateo's smile disappeared. What? I said no. You want to shoot me? Go ahead. But I'm not leaving without her. Dad, please. Seraphine's voice cracked. You don't get to make demands. Mateo's voice rose, the calm mask cracking. You don't get to tell me what to do. You already ruined everything. Took my house, my wife, my life. This is my chance to take something back. Your house? Your wife? I took a step forward. You never understood, did you? People aren't possessions. The house wasn't yours. Seraphine isn't yours. You can't own human beings, Mateo. Shut up. She left you because you treated her like property. Because you couldn't see past your own ego to realize you were destroying the one person who actually cared about you. I said, shut up. He pointed the gun at my chest. Hand shaking. Control slipping. This was it. The moment where everything either worked or ended in blood. You want to shoot me? I kept my voice calm. Then shoot me. But that's not going to change anything. You'll still be the man who lost everything because he couldn't learn to respect other people. You'll still be alone. You'll still be exactly what you are right now, a scared little boy throwing a tantrum. The gun wavered. Dad, stop, Seraphine whispered. But I couldn't stop, because I finally understood. This wasn't about the house. Wasn't about money or boundaries or revenge. This was about a man so broken, he thought breaking others would put him back together. Put the gun down, Mateo. Let her go. Turn yourself in. Get real help. Because this, I gestured around the warehouse. This is rock bottom. And you can either start climbing back up or you can pull the trigger and spend the rest of your life in prison. Your choice. For a long moment, nothing happened. We stood there frozen. 3 people in an abandoned warehouse, balanced on the edge of violence. Then Mateo lowered the gun. "You're right," he said quietly. "I am scared. I'm terrified. I lost everything, and I don't know how to be a person without it. Then learn." I took another step forward. "Starting now. Put the gun down. Let us help you." He looked at the gun like he'd just noticed it was there. Looked at Seraphine. At me. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." The gun fell from his hand, clattered on the concrete. I moved fast, grabbed the gun, kicked it away, went to Seraphine, and started untying her ropes. "It's okay," I told her. "It's over." Mateo sank to his knees, hands over his face, crying. The SWAT team burst in 30 seconds later, Patterson leading. They surrounded Mateo, cuffed him, read him his rights. I held Seraphine while she cried into my shoulder. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I could fix it. I thought if I just talked to him." "Sure. You're safe now. That's all that matters." They loaded Mateo into a police car. He didn't fight, didn't resist, just went quietly, broken and empty. Patterson came over. "You okay?" "Yeah, we're okay." That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen. Probably both. He smiled. "We got everything on tape. Gun, kidnapping, extortion. He's go away for a long time." I nodded, held Seraphine tighter. We went home as the sun was coming up, exhausted, traumatized, but alive. Seraphine slept for 16 hours. When she woke up, she came into the kitchen where I was making breakfast. "I need therapy," she said. "Yeah, probably a lot of it. I need to figure out why I thought going to see him was a good idea. Trauma makes us do strange things. I could have gotten us both killed. But you didn't." I put a plate of eggs in front of her. "You made a mistake. We all do. What matters is what we do after." She ate slowly. "What happens now? Now we heal. Now we build something better. Now we make sure we never let anyone make us feel that small again." She nodded. "Together? Together." The next few weeks were a blur of police statements and therapy sessions and slow, careful healing. Mateo pleaded guilty to everything. Kidnapping, extortion, illegal possession of a firearm. The judge gave him 12 years. Seraphine cried when she heard the sentence. Not from sadness, from relief. "It's really over," she said. "Yeah, it's really over." She moved into her own apartment 2 months later. Small place, 1 bedroom, but it was hers, earned with her own money, built with her own strength. I helped her move in, carried boxes, assembled furniture, made terrible jokes that made her laugh. "You don't have to help," she said, watching me struggle with a bookshelf. "I know, but I want to." "Why?" "Because that's what family does. We show up, not because we have to, because we want to." She hugged me then, tight, the kind of hug that says things words never could. That evening, sitting in her new apartment eating pizza on the floor because her furniture wasn't assembled yet, Seraphine asked me a question. "Do you think he can change? In prison? Do you think he can become someone better?" I thought about it. I don't know. Maybe. People change when they hit bottom, when they finally see themselves clearly. Whether Mateo's capable of that. I shrugged. That's up to him. I hope he does. Not for me. For him. Because nobody should have to live like that. Full of anger and fear and hatred. That's generous of you. No. It's just exhausting carrying around hate. I'd rather let it go. That was when I knew she was going to be okay. Really okay. 3 years later, I stood in my kitchen making coffee on a Tuesday morning. Sun coming through clean windows. No cameras. No fear. Just quiet. Seraphine was supposed to come by for breakfast. She'd been promoted to regional manager. Had a boyfriend she actually liked. Was talking about maybe, someday, thinking about kids. Life had moved forward. The way it does when you let it. My phone rang. Unknown number. For a second, old fear flickered. Then I reminded myself. Mateo was still in prison. Would be for 9 more years. I answered. Hello, Mr. Vale? This is Dr. Morrison from Greenfield Correctional. I'm calling about Mateo Cruz. My stomach dropped. What about him? He's requested a meeting with you. Part of his therapy program. Making amends. I know it's a lot to ask, but he's made significant progress. I think it might be beneficial. For both of you. I sat down. He wants to apologize? In his words. He wants to take accountability. No expectations. Just an opportunity to say what he needs to say. Can I think about it? Of course. Take your time. No pressure. I hung up as Seraphine walked in the door. Saw my face. What's wrong? I told her. She sat down across from me. Do you want to go? She asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to tell him to go to hell. Part of me is curious. Wants to see if people really can change. What does your gut say? I thought about it. About everything we'd been through. About the man I'd become in the process. About forgiveness and boundaries and the difference between the two. My gut says maybe people deserve a chance to own their mistakes, even if we don't accept their apology. Then go, hear what he has to say, then decide. I went 2 weeks later. Patterson offered to come with me. I said no. This was something I needed to do alone. The prison was exactly what you'd expect. Gray, cold, institutional. They led me to a meeting room. Cameras in the corners. Guard by the door. Mateo walked in looking different. Thinner, older, quieter. He sat down across from me and didn't smile. Just looked tired. Thank you for coming, he said. I wasn't sure you would. Almost didn't. I understand. He took a breath. I'm not going to make excuses. Won't try to explain away what I did. I kidnapped Seraphine. Threatened you. Terrorized you both for months. There's no justification for that. I waited. I've been doing therapy. Real therapy. Not the court-ordered stuff I did before. Actually dealing with my issues. My anger. My need for control. He looked down at his hands. Turns out I'm a broken person. Have been for a long time. I just didn't want to admit it. So you're fixed now? No. I'll probably never be fixed. But I'm learning. Learning that other people aren't responsible for my happiness. That I can't control everything. That respect is earned, not demanded. Why tell me this? Because I owed you an apology. A real one. Not because I want forgiveness. I don't deserve that. But because you deserve to hear me take responsibility. He looked up. I'm sorry, Harrison. For everything. For how I treated you. For how I treated Seraphine. For the terror I put you through. I'm sorry. I sat there, looking at this man who'd made my life hell. Who'd hurt my daughter. Who'd pushed us to the edge. And I felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just emptiness. I don't forgive you, I said finally. Maybe someday. But not today. I understand. But I hope you mean what you're saying. I hope you really are learning. Because the world has enough broken people spreading their pain around. We need more people willing to do the hard work of healing. He nodded. I'm trying. Keep trying. It's all any of us can do. I left without shaking his hand. Didn't look back. Drove home feeling lighter than I expected. Seraphine was waiting when I got back. How was it? Strange. He apologized. Seemed genuine. I didn't forgive him. Do you think you ever will? Don't know. Don't really care. That's the weird part. He's not taking up space in my head anymore. He's just some guy I used to know who made bad choices. He's not worth my anger. She smiled. You really did it. You got your life back. We got our lives back. That evening, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset. Small apartment. Simple life. But it was mine. Built on my terms. Protected by boundaries I'd learned to set. The community center called. Asked if I'd lead a workshop on setting healthy boundaries in family relationships. I said yes. Estelle called. Said she was proud of me. Said I'd taught her something about standing up for yourself. I told her I was still learning too. Seraphine's boyfriend came by for dinner. Nice kid, treated her with respect, listened when she talked, made her laugh. Everything Mateo hadn't been. After they left, I cleaned up the kitchen and thought about everything that had happened. The house, the locks, the fear, the police stations, the therapy, the slow, painful healing. It hadn't been a revenge fantasy I'd imagined when I first sold the house. There was no dramatic victory, no moment where everything fell perfectly into place. It was messier than that, more complicated, more human, but it was real, and I'd take real over perfect any day. If you ever had to rebuild your life from scratch, you know it's not about winning. It's about surviving and learning and becoming someone stronger. Drop a comment if this story resonated with you. 6 months later, Seraphine got engaged, not to the boyfriend. He turned out to be wrong in different ways, but to a woman she'd met at work. Rachel, kind, smart, patient. I'm bisexual, Seraphine told me over coffee. Always have been. Just never felt safe enough to explore it with Mateo. He had very specific ideas about who I should be. And now I get to be whoever I want. It's terrifying and wonderful at the same time. I met Rachel the following week. She brought flowers and asked intelligent questions and made it clear she adored my daughter. That's all I needed to know. The wedding was small, just family and close friends. They got married in a garden with string lights and acoustic music. Seraphine wore a white suit. Rachel wore a dress. They both cried during their vows. I cried too. Happy tears this time. During the reception, Seraphine pulled me aside. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For setting boundaries even when it hurt. For showing me what real love looks like." She squeezed my hand. "I know it wasn't easy. I know I put you through hell. But you saved my life, Dad. By refusing to let me treat you like garbage, you taught me how to respect myself. You saved your own life, Seraphine. I just held the door open. Still, thank you." We stood there, father and daughter, watching people dance and laugh and celebrate love that was healthy and reciprocal and built on respect. This was the ending I'd been looking for. Not revenge, not vindication. Just this. People I loved living lives they chose. Freedom earned through hard boundaries and harder conversations. Later, when the party wound down and the guests went home, I drove back to my apartment. Small, simple, mine. I made tea, sat on my balcony, looked at the stars, and thought about the Harrison who'd started this journey 3 years ago. The man who'd been disappearing piece by piece, sacrificing himself for people who didn't appreciate the cost. That man was gone. In his place was someone who understood that love without boundaries isn't love. It's self-destruction. That being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. My phone buzzed. Text from Seraphine. "Love you, Dad. Thank you for everything. Thank you for teaching me what I deserve." I texted back. "Love you too. Now go enjoy your honeymoon. And remember, you deserve everything good that comes your way. Never settle for less." I set down my phone and smiled. The house I'd sold 3 years ago was gone. The life I'd built around sacrifice and silent suffering was gone. The man who'd been afraid to take up space was gone. But what remained was better. Smaller, maybe quieter, but authentic. Built on truth instead of obligation. On respect instead of guilt. That night, I slept without checking cameras. Without jumping at sounds. Without wondering when the next crisis would hit. Because the crisis was over. The war was won. Not with violence or drama or the kind of revenge that makes good headlines. But with patience, with boundaries, with the quiet, radical act of choosing yourself. If you're reading this and you're in a situation where people treat you like you don't matter, hear me. You matter. Your time matters. Your feelings matter. Your boundaries matter. Don't wait until you're so depleted there's nothing left. Don't sacrifice yourself on the altar of keeping the peace. Don't let people mistake your kindness for weakness. Set boundaries. Enforce them. Walk away when you need to. It will hurt. People will call you selfish. They'll say you're cruel. They'll try to make you feel guilty for putting yourself first. Let them, because the alternative, disappearing piece by piece until there's nothing left, is worse than any guilt they can make you feel. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve love that doesn't require you to shrink. And if the people in your life can't handle that, then they're not your people. It took me 60 years to learn that lesson. I hope you learn it faster. Because life's too short to spend it being someone else's doormat. Even when that someone is family. Especially when that someone is family. Choose yourself. Set boundaries. Live free. That's the real revenge. Not hurting them, but refusing to let them hurt you anymore. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. Protect our peace. Honor our worth. Build lives that reflect who we are, not who others want us to be. 3 years ago, I sold a house and changed some locks. But what I really did was find myself again. And that's worth more than any house could ever be. Thank you for staying with us through this entire journey. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think about your own boundaries, please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We share stories like this every week. Real stories about real people finding their strength. Drop a comment below telling us what you learned from Harrison's story. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message about boundaries and self-respect, share this video with them. Sometimes the best gift we can give is permission to choose ourselves. Until next time, remember, your worth is not negotiable. Your boundaries are not betrayals. And you deserve to live free.